Hello there ladies and gentlemen, it's TX141, your ace in a day gameplay specialist as always for arcade mode, and today we're bringing out the MiG-3-15. It's rank 4 in the Soviet line and it's a reasonable energy fighter. It's a complete, well I wouldn't say it's a complete change from the fighters you fly prior to getting to that rank if you're new to the game or you're just looking to start the Soviet line in general. The reason why I say it's a little bit different is because this plane's probably got one of the worst turn circles for fighters in the entire game. Discounting the Focke-Wulf 190s, but they're a marginally higher rank than this plane. So anyway, the map. We're on the map top of the world, the ground strike map, and I recorded this gameplay last night. Now to set the mood for you folks, I'd had a really tough day with work, and I wasn't in the best of moods, so I decided to come onto War Thunder, and I thought what better way to vent frustration than fly me a MiG-3-15. As a result, because it is the top plane in my lineup, I will be going up against quite a few players who are probably new to the game. Well, I did go up against players who are quite new to the game, in all honesty, so don't be surprised at the score at the end. I'm not going to brag, boast or anything, but I think this gameplay actually does highlight the advantages of this plane and the disadvantages of this plane at its rank. Returning to the setup, we said what map it is, it's a ground strike, and the setup of the plane is as follows. We've got it in fully upgraded condition. So it climbs incredibly fast, it achieves a very high top speed. The armament is set to the universal machine gun belt for the two 7.62 machine gun, 62mm machine guns. I'm diving into my PBY as we speak. And for the 12.7mm machine gun, we're using the air target ammunition. And as you can see there, I led a frontal assault, a frontal strafing run on that PBY 5A. And as you may note, we didn't actually damage anything major or take out a gunner. So I'm taking the second run now. And once again, we didn't actually manage to do any major damage, although he or she is smoking from one of his or her engines. So the problem with the PBY, when we just took out a gunner, no sorry, the problem with the MiG, not the PBY, PBYs are annoying flies, the problem with the MiG is the armament's quite insufficient, and as I say that I completely take the wing off of a Hurricane Mark 1. In terms of being insufficient, I mean with regards to trying to take out more heavily unarmoured targets such as PBYs and H6Ks, which are quite common at this rank in the game. Additionally, while I do have a crew skill level in the MiG of, I think it's just over 300, and I've got a weapon maintenance of 50. The guns on the MiG do tend to overheat incredibly fast, so you've got to be very light on the trigger. So I'm going for a different PBY now. And it's not my intention to try and actually take the PBYs down, but I'm just trying to force one of them to have to head back to base so that they don't take out our ground units. And as you notice, I'm trying to spend a shorter period of possible time behind the PBYs because of those 50 cal gunners. Now that's one of the two PBYs taken out. Well, it was an assist, and now I'm going to dive back down on the original one. As you can see, the speed which I'm carrying through in the MiG is incredibly high compared to a lot of the planes of its tier or rank. So making another dive run. I managed to get a critical hit off on the right wing of the PBY, but it's not enough to put him down, or her down, and our Fury decides to finish off the job. So that's 2 assists. And 1 kill already with that Hurricane. So yeah, the MiG isn't a plane that's easy to get to grips with. I'm going to be honest, it's very difficult when you first get it because you'll be thinking to yourself, well, how the heck am I meant to dogfight any of the planes at my own rank, seeing as the majority of them are made for turn fighting? Well, I'm about to dive on this Su-2, head on. Take out the gunner in this Hurricane. I managed to take out the pilot in the Hurricane, so I've got another assist, I've got another kill. The armament is effective against fighters, however, going beyond that, if you start hitting armoured targets, you've got to be aiming at the cockpit, or a very important control surface, otherwise nothing much is going to come out of it. So I'm noticing this whole cluster of enemy bombers / ground attack craft, and also my plane's just flashed up to say that I'm gradually losing power to the engine, probably due to a bullet from one of the PBYs or from that Hurricane. So I dive on this Junkers 87. And I overheat one of my guns already. And I completely cause those two planes to disintegrate. That's about as much as I can say for what happened there. So now I move on to a BB-1, and I'm just going for it. And as you can see, once again, we're not able to actually take out the BB-1, but we didn't get a very good burst off either. And I'm only using one 7.62 machine gun. I haven't cleared it yet. Sorry, haven't cleared the other one yet. So really, I'm making the most of what the 12.7mm machine gun can offer in terms of damage. Meanwhile, the 7.62 is just there to act as a sort of tracer. And now I'm determined, while taking a few bullets off this BB-1, to put him or her into the ground. And so I'm going to forego worrying about their rear gunner, because as long as I keep underneath the tail of their plane, the gunner can't fire. Although the BB-1 pilot was pretty smart and actually did the most of it, managed to keep his or her gunner on my on sight. In fact, they managed to take my engine out, despite the fact that I managed to kill the BB-1 and get my ace. So with no engine and close proximity to our airfield, I'm going to go for a land at this point. And as you can see, I'm just going to glide peacefully because there's no enemy fighters around here, although there wouldn't be much I could do if an enemy fighter did appear, apart from throw a shoe at them. If I can get the shoe out of the cockpit, of course. And yeah, this plane is just literally gliding towards the airfield, just there. And I really enjoy this plane, in all honesty. I think it's an underrated plane. You rarely see people, players flying MiG-3-15s in arcade, and it's incredibly rare to see them flying in what's the game mode? Historical. Although I have flown my MiG-3-15 in historical a couple of times, and I'm not going to go there. It hurts. It's worse than flying a P-38G in arcade mode, I'd say. But that's my own opinion, of course. If you have a different opinion, feel free to leave it in the comment section. So I'm going to keep talking while I'm landing the plane, because this gameplay is a long one. However, it was pretty exhilarating. It was the first gameplay of the night, funnily enough, so I was quite shocked when I managed to get this. And it was a soft landing. I believe my repair skill's up at, I think it's 20 plus the expert status on the crew, so it'll be up at 50. Which is why it only takes me about 18 seconds to repair. And I've got my eye on that Junkers 87B over there, just in case he or she does try to shoot me to pieces, at which point I'll bow out of the plane. But our teammates managed to take it out. So now I'm checking the scoreboard, seeing what's up there, because at the same time as me playing this gameplay, there was the Ground Forces event, whereby you had to get as many ground target kills in English planes, or something along those lines. And I'm just taking off. And I noticed on the scoreboard there weren't many bombers left. It was mostly fighter aircraft / ground attack aircraft. So I'm going to get myself a little bit of speed, a bit of altitude, and go back into the fray. And now, while we're on the subject of the ground forces for War Thunder, I'm going to be honest, folks. I'm not going to be the first channel, obviously, to bring you guys ground forces content, and I doubt I'll be able to get access to the closed beta because I don't play War Thunder enough to complete the challenges or to really act as a good beta tester. However, when the ground forces do come out, I'll probably give it a week, because everybody's going to pile into the ground forces thinking, well, what's the difference between this and World of Tanks? I know, I said the dreadful game name. Some of you will probably be holding your hands over your ears now, telling your children to close their eyes. But let me rephrase. With regards to the ground forces, I'll probably give it a week, let the excitement for most players die down, and then I'll pop over to the ground forces and see what's happening. I know it's a little bit of a killjoy, because you'd be expecting me to be bringing the footage straight away rather than giving it a week or so, but with the sort of excitement that comes with a new game mode, you don't want to go rushing in there. Well, I don't want to go rushing in there, because I know everyone's going to want to play it. And I really enjoy the aircraft side of War Thunder. I've never had this much fun in an airplane game, apart from Heroes of the Pacific on the PS2, if any of you remember that. So I'm noticing our guys are all trying to chase this Blenheim, and I'm going to use my high speed and climb rate in order to get a little bit of altitude, and if needs be, take out the Blenheim myself. Although I've realised my teammates are doing a pretty good job of it. So instead I decided to dive down on this lag 3. What I notice is harassing one of our Hurricanes, although he's now being attacked by a Gladiator, but I'm still going for it nonetheless. And with a significantly more controlled burst there, I managed to set the lag 3A on fire and get the assist while my teammates took him or her out, which I don't mind at all, because it wasn't really my kill. All contributing towards the team effort, as they say. And I'm noticing I managed to just get away from a furball that was about to start, and I've got a P-36A Hawk chasing me, as you can see in the centre of the screen then. And as you'll notice, the P-36A Hawk is a pretty fast plane, although I reckon my MiG can just about match it for speed. And they're trying to open fire at me at 0.8 kilometres at the moment. As you can see, well, 0.98, just shy of a kilometre now. And I'm managing to get away from him or her and keeping enough distance so that my teammates can take out the Hawk. Now I'm thinking to myself at this point, well, if that Hawk's being harassed by my teammates, in a minute I might as well loop over and see if I can take them out. And I go for it. Now as the Hawk decided to try and take me head on, so I decided to duck underneath him or her and just carry on flying and let my teammates finish it off that plane, rather than me having to sacrifice my MiG in a head-on collision, which is usually the case. Now I'm thinking at this point, well, they still haven't killed the Hawk, although it's been critically damaged, so I'm getting the edgy feeling that that Hawk might get away, especially since my teammates are struggling to keep up with him, and I'm going to take him out. Or her. Damage the fuselage and then one final burst. Take the whole right wing off and damage the fuel tank, and now we're on an airstreak of 6. As you can see, the two Hurricanes there weren't able to keep up with the Hawk, and that's the wonderful thing about the MiG. It's probably one of the fastest planes for its rank, and as a result, if you do have the occasional fighter that's getting away from your teammates, you can easily nip in and chase the foe down. And now at this point I haven't really got much altitude, and I know the majority of the planes that are on the enemy team are made for turn fights, and at level altitude they'll be able to outclass me pretty well. So as a result I'm heading off towards the edge of the map, just getting a bit more altitude, building up my energy, and then I'm turning back in for another attack. So I'm really shocked at the growth of my channel over the last couple of weeks. I've had a few more subscribers come along, and I'd like to thank you folks for all the wonderful comments you've been giving me. I know this gameplay isn't really much in terms of anything spectacular, because I'm going after a lot of less experienced players by the looks of things. However, I just thought I'd bring you guys this gameplay, not as bragging rights or anything along those lines, but to show that you can have fun in the MiG-3-15 even when you've had an absolutely terrible day with work. And so I'm climbing once again. I've noticed this F2A Buffalo's trying to match my climb rate, and in a minute I'm going to loop down on the enemy team. I'm also seeing there's a Gladiator there and an I-16, so I'm having to pick one. I picked the I-16 because I know that's the most lethal foe out of the three in terms of an energy fight, and I decide to dive down on him or her. With the opening burst I set them on fire, and I might as well leave them because an I-16 that's on fire will disintegrate. And now that F2A-3 Buffalo did decide to try and fire off a burst with his 450 cals at me. However, it didn't work, completely missed, and I'm able to get away through superior energy. So we're now on 7 because that I-16 crashed into the ground. And I decide to turn around again and head back into the furball. I'm just making cutting runs at my opponents, so that by the time they know that I'm there, I've already escaped. And I'm noticing there's this F2A here that's decided to dive away from the furball and heading towards our hindcore on the runway. So I'm going to try and cut him or her off. As you can see, I'm quite easily gaining on them, although I noticed they're now going for our anti-aircraft batteries. So I open up with a small burst, and I managed to hit them with one of the 7.62mm rounds at the end of the burst. You also see that a Gladiator decides to dive on this Buffalo. However, the difference in speed between the two planes becomes apparent as you're about to see when I just zoom by the Gladiator. And I take the pilot out and set the plane completely on fire. And once again I decide to turn around, head back into the fray. This is quite a close game, it's been going on for quite a while. Everyone's sort of down to the last couple of planes, except myself of course. And I'm noticing a Beaufort that's flying up at relatively high altitude. And as you guys and girls will probably know, Beauforts are an absolute devil to face at this rank because of their gunners, which people usually max out with the provided Golden Eagles. So I decide to attack the Beaufort from below to help our MC-200 out. And now I'm being a bit conservative on the trigger, trying to make sure I don't overheat my guns, although I've just jammed a 7.62. Taking out one of the gunners and one of the flaps. And now I've done more fuselage damage, and I've only got my 12.7 machine gun now. I've jammed the two 7.62s. Although as you can see, this plane does pretty well with just a 12.7 and one 7.62. Apologies for the frame rate bugging up a little bit here. And I reload all my guns in time. And I managed to take out the pilot, or force them to bow out. But no, I do apologise about the frame rate bugging up. Someone did mention that to me in one of the videos, that the video quality was quite poor, even at the 720p setting. However, when I give my next channel update, which should be within a couple of weeks, I'll explain to you guys my situation on that and what I'm trying to do to improve it. Now I'm climbing after this SU-2, and he or she can't get away from this plane, I promise you that. I forced them to turn and face, and I jam another 7.62 again. I'm pretty much abusing my fast reload at this point. And using the remaining 12.7mm machine gun, I jam both of the 7.62s, so I take out their pilot. So I'm now on my double ace. So I'm still going to keep going. The game's still young, but it's heading towards adolescence, and I see there's a Hurricane diving on our MC-200. To be honest, my whole focus now has turned from attacking the fighters to attacking any ground attack / bomber aircraft, or helping out my teammates. I'm thinking I'm going to help this MC-200 out. However, it's too late for the MC-200. He or she gets taken out, so I dive on the Hurricane. The Hurricane's realised that I'm actually diving on him or her and decides to make a sharp turn. So the only thing I can do is zoom up and then come back down on them. Well, I'm noticing there's a Fury coming over as well, and the Hurricane's trying to match my climb rate. So in a minute I'm going to cut the throttle and loop over on the Hurricane, because the Hurricane can't climb nearly as well as my plane. And firing this full burst, I managed to get a critical hit, set them on fire, and that's the Hurricane completely taken out of the game. Now using the wet and just my general speed advantage, I fly away from that Fury that's following me, and with 11 kills, I'm feeling incredibly content at this point just to let the game finish, especially seeing as we've only got one ground unit left on our side. Although this Fury becomes quite persistent in following me, so I decide to engage him or her head on, knowing that my armament's probably going to outclass his or hers. They do some weaving tactics, which is quite rare, I've never seen that, and they try to head on me at the last minute. However, I just pull my nose up over them and let the Fury get attacked by my teammates. And that's another assist, so that's 5 assists, 11 kills. And this Buffalo, as you're about to see, is going to be a spoil sport and take out our last ground unit. Although I'm trying my best to keep up with him or her, although unfortunately I can't make this plane teleport no matter how much wishful thinking I provide. So yes, it's been an incredibly long game, but it's been a worthy game so far. Well, it's been a worthy game in general, because we're nearly at the end. I was hoping our Nimrod would have been able to cut the Buffalo off and perhaps get a lucky shot, however it wasn't to be. And as you'll see, I'm gradually thinking, no, and game over. He manages to take out our last ground unit. So we got quite a few awards, and it's time to bring up the scoreboard. Okay, so the after battle analysis would be that we managed to get just shy of 19,000 silver lions and just over 19,000 experience, which is an incredible haul for this plane. In general, I average about 5 to 6 kills for this plane at its own rank, although this game was quite special. But to be fair, we were going up against quite a few lower ranked players and less experienced players. Looking at the scoreboard, it's no surprise we're at the top of our team, although there's one person pretty close. And on that note, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe for more War Thunder content on my channel. Otherwise, I've been TX141. Take care until next time, and have fun in the skies.